This is Dr.RED Panda.
Have you ever noticed something a little uncomfortable about yourself? You see a relationship you're not supposed to support, and yet you can't look away. Maybe it's controversial. Maybe it feels wrong. Maybe a part of you even judges it, but another part of you is curious. Why? Why does forbidden make things more interesting, more intense, more attractive? This isn't just you. In fact, there's a hidden pattern in human psychology, one that quietly shapes what we desire and what we pretend we don't. And once you see it, you won't be able to unsee it. I'm Dr. Panda, and today we're uncovering the psychology behind why humans are drawn to taboo relationships. The forbidden attraction. Have you ever caught yourself staring at something you know you shouldn't be interested in? Not because it's shocking, not even because you agree with it, but because you just can't look away. It's a strange feeling, almost uncomfortable. You scroll past it at first, maybe even judge it for a second, but then something pulls you back. And the more you think about it, the stranger it gets. Why does something being forbidden make it feel more intense? Why do certain relationships, one society clearly draws a line around, seem to carry this quiet, magnetic pull? You don't talk about it. Most people don't. In fact, we're very good at pretending this curiosity doesn't exist at all. We tell ourselves we're just observing, just trying to understand, just being open-minded. But if that were true, why does it feel different? Why does it linger? There's a pattern here, one that shows up across cultures, across history, across completely different kinds of people. From stories that have been told for centuries, to modern conversations that quietly explode online, the same question keeps resurfacing in different forms. Why are we drawn to what we're told to avoid? And the answer isn't as simple as rebellion. It's not just about being edgy or going against the rules, because even people who deeply believe in those rules still feel it. That moment of hesitation, that flicker of curiosity, that subtle tension between what feels right and what feels interesting. And that tension matters more than we think, because it reveals something we don't usually like to admit, that our instincts don't always align with our values, that what we feel and what we believe are sometimes pulling in completely different directions. So this isn't really about any one type of relationship. It's about something deeper, something built into the way we think, the way we react, the way we assign meaning to the world around us. A hidden mechanism that quietly shapes what captures our attention and what refuses to let go. Once you start noticing it, you'll see it everywhere. In the stories people are obsessed with, in the things that spark controversy overnight, in the conversations that people have in private but avoid in public. And maybe, if you're honest with yourself, you've felt it too. Not loudly, not in a way you'd openly admit, but just enough to make you pause, just enough to make you wonder. So the real question isn't whether this exists. So what exactly is it? And why does something being off limits make it feel so much harder to ignore? Your brain is working against you. If that feeling seems irrational, that's because it is, at least on the surface. Logically, something being off limits should push us away. Rules are meant to create distance. Boundaries are supposed to reduce interest, but in reality, they often do the opposite. The moment something is restricted, it changes how we perceive it, stops being just another option, and starts to feel rare, charged, different. There's a simple reason for that. Our brains are wired to pay more attention to things that stand out, and nothing stands out more than something we're told we can't have. It's not even about the thing itself anymore. It's about the fact that there's a line, and crossing that line suddenly feels meaningful. This is what psychologists sometimes describe as the forbidden effect. When access is limited, desire doesn't shrink. It intensifies. You can see it in small, everyday situations. Tell someone not to look at something, and they immediately want to know what it is. Hide a piece of information, and it becomes more interesting than anything else in the room. Now apply that same pattern to something more complex, like relationships. The moment a relationship is labeled as not acceptable, it stops being ordinary. It gains emotional weight. There's tension, there's risk, and that risk changes how we feel. Because risk doesn't just create fear, it creates intensity. Your body reacts differently when something feels uncertain or slightly dangerous. Your attention sharpens. Your emotions become stronger. Even your memory holds onto it longer. So what might have been neutral becomes unforgettable. And then there's another layer: scarcity. We naturally assign more value to things that seem limited or rare. If something feels widely available, it's easy to ignore. But if it feels restricted, exclusive, or difficult to access, it becomes more desirable. Not because it's objectively better, but because it feels harder to reach. That's why forbidden and rare often blur together in our minds. And then, without realizing it, we start attaching meaning to that feeling. We tell ourselves it must be special. It must be deeper. It must be more real than everything else. But what we're actually reacting to isn't always the relationship itself. The tension, the limitation, the sense that this is something outside the ordinary rules. And here's where it gets even more subtle. We like to think we're in control of what we're drawn to, that our interests are rational, intentional, and aligned with who we are. But a lot of the time, they're shaped quietly by forces we barely notice. A label, a boundary, a social rule. Things that were never meant to create attraction end up doing exactly that. So when you feel that pull, that quiet curiosity towards something you shouldn't be interested in, it doesn't necessarily mean there's something special about the thing itself. It might just mean your brain has recognized a boundary. So, is it really wrong? We love rules. We love knowing what's right and what's wrong. But what happens when the lines blur? When something society loudly shouts is forbidden, yet it pulls at us in ways we can't ignore. That's the paradox. We hate taboo, yet we are irresistibly drawn to it. Think about it. Every time we encounter a boundary, a social no-go, it triggers something deep inside. A mixture of fear, excitement, and curiosity. That reaction isn't random. It's part of being human. It's the tug-of-war between our instincts and the constructs we've been taught to obey. Now let's flip it. Maybe the real conflict isn't just about the act itself. Maybe it's about who gets to decide what's right and what's wrong. Is it the society around us, with its rules, expectations, and moral codes? Or is it something primal, something wired into our human nature, quietly steering our desires and decisions? Here's the tricky part. When something feels wrong, but also undeniably compelling, it forces us to confront ourselves. Why do we feel guilty? Why does the thrill exist? Is it truly the action that's wrong, or the taboo of admitting our own feelings, impulses, and curiosity? And here's where it gets interesting. If an act is universally considered wrong, why does it still feel so vivid, so immediate, so real? Why do forbidden stories dominate our imagination, our media, even our secret thoughts? There's a reason. Taps into something raw, something unspoken inside all of us. So before we rush to judge, maybe we need to pause. Maybe the discomfort isn't proof of immorality. It's a mirror. It reflects parts of ourselves we rarely acknowledge, parts that society prefers to keep hidden. I'm DR.RED Panda. Perhaps the real question isn't why we fear taboo relationships, but rather what we're so afraid they might reveal about our true selves. And that's a wrap for this episode of the video. I'm DR.RED Panda. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe and give it a thumbs up. Until next time, take care.